G'day everyone, Tim here from Land to Air Fishing. I'm going to make some rigs for drone fishing. It was after the other night. I don't know if you've seen the pinky I got on Instagram, but it was an absolute cracker, but unfortunately I lost a few rigs, so I need to make some up. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to take you guys through step by step what I do, the knots I use, everything from start to finish. So let's get into it. Okay, so before I get started, yeah, there he is, the man with the plan. What are you doing? Oi man, I'm showing these guys. Don't worry about that, man. We're going to show these guys how to use the Land to Air Fishing bait release system, man. Dude, I'll get to it, don't worry. Oh, come on man, you're killing me. I'm sure they want to know, don't you? Get out of here, you're wasting my time. Don't listen to that guy, don't pay attention to what he has to say. He has no idea what he's talking about. Okay, so I'm going to make 3 rigs today. I'm going to make your typical paternoster style rig with a variation or a bit of a twist, and another, just a single hook, just a very simple, straightforward rig. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen these, but this is what I do and how I do it. So, first things first, line, Schneider, 70 pound. And I think I'm going to go with 80 pound. Line out of my hooks. One of the variations I'm going to show you guys with the Snell setup I use is this. Get over here! Okay. Snell game with wire. Too many times I've had this hook or this hook bust off and left with just this hook. So this eliminates that issue altogether. So I'm using Halco Nylock 60 pound. I normally use 40, but I can't find any anywhere. Haven't been able to get any before making this video. These are the DSF swivels I'm going to be using, as you've seen in my last video. Get some of them out. Standard type swivel, 50 kilo, Black Magics. And the hooks. So I'm going to make a couple with Black Magic 8s, Penetrate XXX, and my Tomtex are in another bag, so we'll just use what we've got. Leave my teasers on there, in there. Okay, so the tools you're going to need, you don't need them, these are optional. What are these called? Patriot Design. I don't know what the official name is for them, but I use them to tie really tight knots. No slippage, you can put a lot of pressure on your knot, you can test it to make sure it doesn't break before you get it out there and find out the hard way, like I have many times. Lighter, any type of lighter. Some scissors, braid scissors, cut nice and clean, but any scissors will do. Pair of pliers if you got them, not necessary, but they help. I think that's about it. So to start off, I'll make a steel trace gang. I'm going to use 2 4/0s and a 5/0 on top. Not circle hooks, just standard J hooks. 2 penetrates and now something I might have mentioned on my last video, I can't remember. See the straight eye on that thing? It's no good for snelling unless you use it on the bottom hook. You want something like that, so that when you tie your knot, it doesn't kick out, it just stays nice and straight. I hope that guy doesn't come back and interrupt. So that's about 50 centimeters of wire there. Okay, change of plans, because I don't have any crimps on me and I want to use one of these on the bottom, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to use 2 4/0s and I'm going to get a bigger one. Okay, so I just went and got some 6/0s, so let's start. Okay, so line through there, 6 wraps. 2, oops, 3, 4, 6, pinch. Grab this end, up through the back end, pull it tight. This is the tricky bit. I need to heat this and pull on it at the same time. So okay, that's locked down. Next 4-0. Slide him in. You're going to vary how far apart these hooks are depending on the size of the bait you use. I don't ideally like to have them too far apart because so many times I've wound in a hit and the fish is a bit right between the hooks. So I generally like to try and keep them a bit closer, maybe, I don't know, an inch, maybe an inch and a half apart. Okay, pinch, wind. This isn't really hard, but it's a lot more tricky with 60 pound than it is with 40. Okay, pull, same thing. Tug, just hold it there, let it set. There we go.
Good.
6. Now, I do my best to try and avoid them twisting, so you can see like they don't really line up too good. I mean, it's a little tricky trying to get it right in front of camera. When I'm doing this myself, I always have them at the same angle and always pull just the right amount, feeling the pressure of doing this in front of you guys. But anyway, it's no issue just to twist that around. Okay, now, don't know if you can see. You need to get the hole big enough to pass your line through. So you've got two options. You can either get this bit of wire, bend it in half, get a bit of mono, wind it through, which I think I'm going to do. With a 60 pound wire, there's not much room left in the eye of the hook. But what I like to do ideally is get this tag end, pull it down, and then wrap it back around 3 or 4 times. Heat lock it off, snip it, done. I think I might be able to do it. Ow, it's hot. Come on, focus, man. I think it needs a bit more heat. I'm not really happy with that. Can you hear the rain? It's pissing down outside. Now, it will have a tendency to unbind, so you just need to try and bunch up your winding as close as you can, give it enough heat, and not move it until it sets. I really should go get my side cutters out of the car. Okay. So there you have it. Steel tray snell. Oh, there you go. Enough room in the eye to pass some line through. I'll just do a quick check now before I go any further. So, some 80 pound. Yep, fits. So I can tie that off. Okay, so is part of our rig made. The next one, I'm not going to do that. That was just for demonstration purposes, even though I'm going to use this, and I normally run 2 of these if I'm doing combined snell paternoster style rig. Okay, so I need to get some lower poundage line for the sinker, so I'm going to use 40 pound, and I know from here to here my arm span's about 1.8, so there's about 4 meters. Thereabouts. Make a loop, bring this through twice, but that loop's not big enough. If I'm using a grapple sinker, I need to make this loop quite large to get over the legs. 1, 2, oops, 2, tight. Okay, swivel, tie the sinker onto the bottom, uni knot, pinch, make a loop, in and out half a dozen times. Always lubricate your knots, pull it down gently and then give it heaps. 80 pound, I want about a metre. Got a mat on the table that says 80, so if I go a bit more, that's going to be 100. I've got a metre. Same knot off the side, obviously. Okay, so this is where these come in handy. Try not to overlay your mono so it's not over itself. This one, pull. She is locked in. I'm going to go to this end. See that tag end? Oh, come on. Trim that down, you don't want that. That needs to go. I'll do that later off camera. Through the eye. One down, one to go. So now I use the Schneider, and I'll do about 2 meters.
Okay, through the top. Another uni knot.
To another swivel on the bottom. I'm going to run a single hook off the top of this. So I've got my 80 Black Magic circle hook. Not quite a metre. I want it to not get tangled up with the bottom hook if possible. Doesn't always happen, but I like to reduce my odds. Okay, I'm going to get my teaser. Cut the top off. This needs to go in head first or it's going to be inverted. I'll get to that another time. Big hook, big fish, right? Just go through and tension all my knots. So now this is where you choose how you want to rig up your dropper loop. If you're using a system other than the Land2Air fishing bait release system, then it'd be a wise idea to have a 2 meter dropper loop, I suppose, maybe off the top of that swivel there to another loop knot. In my case, with the loop knot designed in the system, I don't need that. So I'm going to do another section of line to another swivel. Three-way swivel onto the bottom. Just some light line. Since I got the 40 pound out, I'll use that. I normally just use 20. So, sorry about that, the battery died in the other camera. So here's my connector. What a mess. This doesn't need to be very long at all. In fact, the shorter the better for me. So I'm going to put that through there. And just tie a double granny knot, even a triple. It doesn't need to be a flash knot, it just needs to serve its purpose. Okay. And that is a big bunch of spaghetti on the floor right there. That long. How long that is? 2 inches. Okay, now it's 4 inches because of the knot I used. Trim off all the tag ends. Right, I'll do the rest off camera. Old Faithful pool noodle. So when I'm doing these, I normally put these on as I go so I don't end up with a big bunch of grapes on the deck at the end of it. I just shove my swivel in the top. And just wine. Oh, that was close. Something to point out, this is another reason why it's important to make sure all your hooks are facing the same direction so you don't end up with that scenario. That one hook that's sticking up and the rest are all tucked into the noodle. So you try and avoid that where possible. Cut a little slit. That's where you put your line in, feed it, and there you go. One down, 2 more to go. Okay, the next one I need to get some foam for. And I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so when I use a single hook, more often than not I'll use a bit of foam to give it some buoyancy in the water. You can use like this here pool noodle foam, cut it into shape. I just happen to get this off a guy on a construction site, and when I'm using foam I try and use a colour that resembles, you know, a bait, so red or white or whatever. But yeah, I like to use red or white. This is perfect size, so that's about the size you want to go for. That's about 2 centimeters in diameter. And what I'm going to do is just cut it down to size. And I want it to be, depending on the hook I'm using. Where are all my big hooks, man? I think I need to place another order. Okay, so that's another 8/0. So I'm going to try and go about that far down the shank and then maybe that far above it as well. So 4 inches long. I use this MIG welding rod 1.5mm for my grapple sinkers, and just shove that up the guts, try and get it through the center. £80. I'm going to go about 1.5 meters this time. Try and get that down through the foam. You can cut a slit and use some bait cotton or whatever to connect it back up, but that's cool. Six. And just pull this tricky, pull that down. Well done. I use bait cotton, so when I put my bait on, I'll wrap the crap out of that and make sure it doesn't slide up and down the line. You can put one of these over as well if you want. You just trim the tip down to a bit of a, you know, a shape to fit in there and stick that on top. We're not going to do that today. 3-way swivel off the side. And then 40 pound down to the sinker. And I want to go, I think, 3 times the length of this, so big loop. Hey, this is pretty easy stuff, guys. I guess what I'm just trying to demonstrate is the principle, you know. I think a lot of you guys know how to tie a knot. You know what hooks and that to use. If you're a newbie, you might find some value in this. And I know I said I was going to do 3 rigs, but I think I'm just going to do 2 because the third rig is going to be a replica of the first one I showed you, except instead of having a single hook on top and a snelled setup on the bottom, I'm going to have a snelled setup on the bottom and the top. So I don't really think I need to show you how to do that again. And then obviously I'm going to go up to another 3-way swivel, tie another connector for my bait release system onto that, and call it a finished rig. So that wraps it up. If you've got any questions, please post them down in the comments below or join the Facebook group at Land to Air Fishing. Follow me on Instagram, and I definitely find it a little difficult trying to find topics to do a video on. So a lot of the time I'm scrolling through comments and I'm looking for questions, and if there's enough questions then I feel that there's a need to answer them and I'll go through and make a video. But if you've got anything specific, feel free to send me a PM or an email, info@landtoairfishing.com, and I will get back to you and I'll put something together for you. I guess the next step for me would be to do some videos putting baits on the hook so you can see what I do, especially with that single hook. This one, I use a very interesting combo. It's a bit of a South African technique, but it works a treat, and there's enough bait on there. It puts all different smells in the water, and all the pecker fish that pick away at that outer bait leave all the bait on the inside to stay on the hook a lot longer. It puts a lot of smell into the water, and if the fish are around, you're going to hook up, guaranteed. So that about wraps it up for me. Thanks for following along, and I'll catch you on the next one.